What's up everyone? My name is Ruben and I'm back with another video, and today we're diving into the basics of breakdance and headspin. Let's get started. Oh, it's been a minute. Renato, turn the camera on. I have Renato has one job: turn the camera on, and he doesn't turn it on. Renato, get your stuff. Get your computer. I know you're coding something amazing for Headspin. I know you are. I've seen it. They're not ready, but get your stuff and get out of here. Get your stuff and get out. Yeah, I'm kicking them out today, guys. But today, in this video, Renato, don't hate me. In this video, I'm going to go through an overview of Headspin. And I got this new chair, so I'm not used to it yet. So I have to, never mind. Well, I got a new chair and it's hard to adjust. I don't know where the little dot is to move the armrest. Well, anyway, today I'm diving into all the settings within Headspin and how they work and connect with breakdance. I'm going to show you the power of, we are the most popular CSS framework for breakdance. We are breakdancers. Myself, I build 99% of websites within breakdance. That 1%, not Edge. I'm not building with Edge. And what else? First of all, we're breakdance first. We love breakdance. All three of us, me, Tony, Renato, we all love breakdance, and we all love the potential of the builder. But I want to show you, because I've been getting a lot of questions on what to do, the basics, how to configure Headspin once you install it, right? So I want to just talk through. It might be a long video. I don't know. It might be a long video, but I want to talk through kind of some basics here of getting started. And let's get into, let's dive on in. You ready? Well, I'm going to be going back and forth from the back end here. I just have a tab open. And I'm going to talk through the process of Headspin 1.4.1 to make sure everybody update your Headspin. If you haven't, update it to the latest one we have as of right now. As of May 2nd, it's 1.4.1. Make sure it's updated and make sure you can follow along, right? Because some things did change. I had to mute that. I'm drinking my orange juice and wasn't working this morning. Well, 1.4.1, and I want to talk to you about the core essence of what we are. We are a CSS framework that integrates 100% with breakdance, right? Like I said in the intro, and earlier said, we are breakdance people that we love breakdance. I believe in breakdance, and I genuinely believe it is the #1 page builder out right now. Super powerful, super quick, zero issues. And if you do have issues, the community can help you solve them, right? And that's what we hear. Headspin, I feel like we've created a community to help each other out. And if anyone has a question, drop it in the chat or in this video box or in the page here on our page on Facebook. Well, what do we control, right? So, okay, let me talk to you about, well, I'll get to the colors here in a second, but what are the main key things we control, right? We can control the page, which is the page width. We can control the offset, which is like the little gap at the end of the gutter, right? The gutter of the website. And then the column gap, right? So whenever you drop a column element in, all that can be controlled through Headspin on the back end, not within the breakdance builder, right? We also control your fonts, your typography, right? I have some examples here, right? We have your typography and we have your line height. The only issue is that the builder always takes priority. So for example, if you manually put a font size of 100 in there, right? Let's say this header needs 100 font. And then you install a Headspin, the builder will always take priority over us. So you would have to go in there and then, well, we have a couple options. Either one, make your scale that big, right? Make your scale. Your top font will be 100. Your lowest font will be 40, for example. And I'll show you how to do that. And then remove any settings you have. So it's always best to start fresh from the get-go, so you're not going in there and making changes. But it is maybe tedious to go in there and start replacing things once the site is already launched. It's always best to install on a fresh install. You're building a new site, you can go ahead and use it, right? And technically, right, you can install Headspin and take advantage of the variables and the pop-up and things like that, and then slowly start removing font sizes and then do it that way, right? It's a couple ways you can do it. So then we also do the line height. We also do the section spacing and component section. So the section space is like a section here. You see the section above me is a section space. You can control like the space here from the top to the first element in your block in your section, and then obviously underneath here, so that you can't see the invisible line here. Just imagine it's there, and then you can see one line here and then the other one there. And then the component section is like the things inside of here, right? Anything you use for a card is a component. You use a card, use the component space variable, and then you're done. You don't have to think of a magic number. You don't have to think of anything random, like a random pixel. So whenever you go to the theme, this is what you see, right? Oh, and then you also see the radiuses. So from out of the box, we give you a couple options, right? I'm not going to talk about light and dark theme right now. That'll be a separate video. But the project radius is, for example, this controls your overall radiuses. For example, so let's say I'm in here, and if you notice, there's a small little radius right here. Nothing too crazy. I can use any of the variables that I have. It doesn't matter which one you use. If you ever decide, the client comes and says, hey, I want them all square now. You hit save, you click the none, hit save, and it removes it. So wherever you use the radius, it will go back to that. Wherever you use the radius, it will remove it and go to 0. And if you go back to the default, which is medium, it will go back to whatever you used before. So if you had a small, it'll go back to small. If you had a medium, it'll go back to medium. If you had a large, it'll go back to large. It won't, I don't believe, I need to ask Ronaldo, but off the top of my head, I don't think it can, if you don't have anything, well, no. If you have a small, I don't think you can go to the large, for example. You might, let's try that, hold on. Let me do full, make it extreme. See if I can make it a circle. Yeah, see, well, I think it did, made a change. Well, I'll get back to you on that one. I just made a mental note here, but it should. Anyway, the next thing we want to talk about today is the page width, right? So you can change, if you want a newsletter size, I never thought about that. But anyway, I'm talking about the radiuses. If you want a newspaper style website, so let's do an extreme example. Let's do 800 pixels. Everything all of a sudden, it gets squished together, right? So your canvas, wherever you start adding elements to your section, gets smaller, gets to 800 pixels. But if in the builder, if you make your section full width, it overrides it. So yes, you can have a full-blown header image, hero up here, and then your content is all smaller. So that's how page width works. So you can control it here. We have a default of 1366, and then it goes back to normal pretty quickly, right? So that's pretty cool. You have your minimum offset, which is here. It's 20 pixels. So you're always going to have a 20-inch pixel gutter on each side. And then your column gap. If you ever use a column element, you can control that through this setting here. So in typography, we have a couple options, right? This confuses a lot of people, but a lot of this, it's presets, and I'll show you here. So let's do, by default, it's always going to be on 4. it's going to be a standardized size system, right? 4 is always the basic. So, but if you want it a little bit larger, you can click on 7. These are just presets, right? And then when you go back here, it kind of makes everything bigger by default, right? So if you notice, these are huge, but if you go back to 4, it goes back to the way it was before. So all this does is, man, I wish my font was a little bit bigger, but I don't want to go in there and make tweaks. You can just scale it up just a bit to a level 5 and just make it a little bit bigger. You notice how it was a little bit bigger? Like, man, I want to scale it a little bit more bigger. And then you make it a little bit more bigger. Did that work? That should have worked. Okay, see? Yeah, make it a little bit bigger. Man, I want to make it really small. These are just presets, right? Let's go. So it looks like, you see how I made it really small. So these are just incremental bumps. So as you're building your website and you, man, I just wish my font was a little bit smaller or a little bit bigger, you can just go here, pick a size, and then you're good to go, right? But it will always default on 4. And as you're building, you can always just go back and make changes. Man, I wish if you finish the project, like I said earlier, finish the project, you can make a small change versus going to each element and making the change there. You can make it overall. Then, oh, and then if you want to make, if you really want to get into the weeds and details, you can start playing with all the settings. So I want to, 18 would be the smallest on the phone, 20 on desktop, and then you can make a scale according to your heart's desire. You can configure. And if you want, I'm not going to talk about tokens yet, but you go here to the tokens, go to text font sizes, and you can actually manually change everything, right? You can go in there and change each individual variable on our back end. So if you want your headers to be 100, you double click, the icon, you unlink it from Headspin and say, hey, now you're on your own, right? Then you're able to come in here. Oh, technically you could have done it in the pop-up, but you can now make at the biggest screen will be 100 pixels. So now this variable is still fluid, but it's outside of the realm of Headspin, right? And now you're able to control each individual the font numbers. If you want a specific font, if you want, for example, if you don't want 8076, you want 80 pixels, boom, go in there. You want the other one to be 100 or vice versa. You just keep changing the numbers manually if you want. And that variable now lives outside of this system here, right? You can't unlink everything and then start making changes and nothing changes. So you have two options. Let Headspin control it and you can make incremental increases, or you can go in there and make specific changes to your specific font, and you have full control out of every variable that you use on your website. Seems like I'm screaming at you. Whatever you want to use, you can do it. Oh God. Okay. So let's save that. So for example, you save it here, right? It's 100. So your H1, I just moved it to 100. So now let's go here. See, boom. Now all the H1s on the website are 100. So let's do something here. So I'm gonna open up this page really quick in Breakdance. I wasn't supposed to, but I just wanted to show you something. So you remember, you install Headspin on the current website, right? And you made that change, and you're yelling at me saying, "Man, it doesn't work. It's not working." It's because there's maybe something manual inside of your font. So let's say this is my new website. I installed Breakdance, but man, I want my headers to be 100. So all you have to do now is go into your element and just unlink it, and now you let Headspin control it. So if you're ever in that situation, you install Headspin on an active site, you might have to go in there and do some cleanup, right? You have to go in there and clean up because the builder will always take priority. So just remember that, take a note, or install Headspin, let it start taking control. And as you go in there to edit what pages for your website, just go in there and clean it up. You don't have to spend all day cleaning it up. but you can start building right and then going back retrospectively and doing some stuff. So now all my H1s are super huge on the website. So let me go back here. And if you ever make a mistake, you can always hit boilerplates and says, man, I want to get all my typography back to the original state. I don't know if I'm doing this right. I've never done this before. Bernardo just did this. Well, let me link it back up. I think you could just link it back up. This is what I do. And then you refresh it. What it is to be doing live. Oops. What it is to be doing videos live. No, that didn't work. Well, I'll figure that out in a second. What was it? 50? 57, yeah. So yeah, I think you have to link it and click it and it kind of resets it. But I think the boiler point should work, but I don't know why that. I will take another note. Well, anyway, but you can go in there, you can change this. Let me do that really quick. So let me do this. Click here. This is the power. I don't want to edit anything. First of all, I don't have time. And I don't want to do it. So now click here, link it. It's going to say 100, but if I double click it, yeah. So that's what I did. I'll talk to Renato to make sure we get a good flow on that. But it would be cool to have a button here. Once you unlink it, hit reset. Note to self. Well, that's the power of doing these videos live. I don't want to do a polished look and make it super edit. Hey, this is real life situation, things that people will figure out. And let me know if you have an issue, tell me and I can get it fixed. So, okay, so we have your font sizes, you have, oh, and then also we give you 3 variables for your fonts, your basic font. So we have a large, Headspin automatically defaults to a medium, and then your small. So inside the builder, you're able to use different font sizes within your page, right? So you're not, man, I wish I had a little smaller font. Oh, man, I wish I had this font was a little bit bigger, but not, I don't want it to be a header big. So, but it is like a font inside of a card. So I wanted to be a little bit bigger, and then the body of the card a little bit smaller. You can set all those different sizes. So by default, we give you 3 options, small, medium, and large. And then you can choose which one you want to use throughout your whole project, right? So you're not thinking of a magic number. You're thinking of the variables, small, medium, large, and that's it, right? If you want to create your own, you can, but we give you 3. So let's go over here. So now that is typography, right? So you can make all the changes automatically through Headspin or manually change them. So the next thing we want to talk about is your space. The same concept, right? We have a system here, a modular system here that lets you control everything overall if you're just working for the defaults, right? Because if you just use the defaults of Headspin, it is amazing. And you don't really have to think. You can just start building. But if you want your spacing just to be a little bit bigger, you just do the same thing as a font. Just slowly increase it, and it gets a little bit bigger. And man, if I want to get a little bit tighter together, you slowly do increments. So it's kind of hard to visually see this, but it does change. And then the components, the same thing. If you want it super tight or really compact, right? So you have all those options. And you can manually go in here and see what each level does, right? So for example, on a section space, what is this? Yeah, the regular section. Oh, you can see bars. You can see the bars here and kind of see where everything's at. That on your desktop, it would be 76, and on the small will be 57. Or excuse me, double XL. So the space on the desktop would be almost 80. Let's say 80, and then the minimum will be 60. And then on the mobile, your largest space will be 13 pixels. And then your smallest would be 10. So it's very little. So from a desktop to a mobile, it only drops 3 pixels. So it'd be kind of hard to show that on the screen, right? It's kind of hard to show that much space drop. But you're able to do all that. You're able to configure how you want each variable to act, right? So if you want it very drastic, you do a 1.2 scale. So you make it very drastic. So on desktop, it's 76. On mobile, it's 41. But if you notice, the smaller it gets, the less noticeable the change will be. So you just go in here, play with the settings, but out of the box, you have a very good system for you. So now that's the spacing. So I want to show off a beautiful frame that we designed that you can get if you're not a member here. So take a moment, become a member. You have access to this beautiful frame up here. This beautiful frame here. Now let's talk about the colors, right? We have a 12 color shade system built into Headspin. The issue is we take control of Breakdance's color system. I know Lewis may not like that, but we take control. So that means if you have, for example, a color inside of your builder, the builder always takes priority, right? So let me show you here. I'm loading up. So the number 9 is right here. This is your brand color. This is what you would technically add here. Let's see if it changes it. Let's make it purple. Why do I have that? Oh, that's my. Oh, I got synced it up. Okay, so it's purple. Let's see what it does, right? So now I'm gonna add a button. The button by default should be green, but let's see if it's purple. Oh man, did I do a button? Here, let me change. Yeah. So what happens is Breakdance, Headspin will override Breakdance's brand color here. So if you install it on a website, you can just remove it. You don't need that anymore. It can be any color you can think of. Let's say this blue. Save it. And we're going to take over. Even though we don't have a color, we don't have a color picked, right, within the button itself. There's no color here. You can't see it, but there's no color there chosen. So we override all the colors. We override the font colors, the heading colors, the background colors, and the link colors as well, right? So that's what we take over here within the tokens. Oops, global colors. So we have imagine all these settings now. All these settings here are now this on the back of Breakdance on our token system. So you can go in there and change all the colors that you need to. If you want to make the font color lighter, you can. If you want to make it darker, you can. So you can play with the colors. But let's talk about colors here, right? So we pre-install 2 colors. We have the brand color and we have the neutral color. Neutral is just like the darks, some shades of gray and black for you. Let me close this out. Front end, I'll leave. So we offer 2, right? Brand and neutral color. So we give you a set, and then you can make as many colors as you want if you have, or you can add a variable, which I'll show you here in a second. But we offer you 2 colors off the box. So you're able to go here to your color palette. You're able to see all the colors and the shades that we're offering, and you're able to edit all the colors. So we use the Radix system, and it's default to all these colors. So you can choose the purple and it does the shades for you. You can do the reds. You can do the orange, the Texas orange. You can do this lime green, right? So we can do any color that we want. Let's do this lime green. And then you hit save. Now the website should be yellow. You see? Yellow, orangey color. Sport yellow, sport green. I'm not sure what you call it. But now anytime you use that color, it's being replaced all over the website. And then if you have a specific color you want to use, you can dial it in with the hex code in here. You can dial it in specifically if you want to, and then that's it. And it automatically creates a variable system or a shade system for you. Right? Super cool, super simple. And if you want transparencies, you hit this little blue button, this little icon here, and you can disable or enable transparencies. And I'll show you how to work that here in a minute. But the same thing with with our neutral color. We give you an option to use our colors, and you don't have to use the neutral colors. You do have to use the brand color because that's what affects the entire website. You don't technically have to use the neutral color. You can just use, for example, I built a project. I didn't have to use the neutral colors because they just wanted either a legit black background and a legit white. So I didn't need to use the shades. They didn't want shades. They wanted black. If their section is either black or it's white, it's the only two options. So I didn't use any of the neutral colors. I added tokens in case they wanted me to change that specific black to a different one. I didn't have to go to each element or each section and change it manually. I used a variable on the back end to make that happen. So you do have to use the brand color, right? You do have to use the brand color to create the shade system. Even though, let's say you're not using any of the shades, you do have to add your color there. And this one here, the 9th one, replaces your brand color throughout the whole website. So we do take over your colors, and we do provide a neutral option for you. We also allow you to have some alphas. All you have to do within the pop-up, it's hold down shift, and I'll show you here in a second. Just hold down shift, and you can apply an alpha inside of your project. Whenever you need an overlay, you can use it there. This video's been 30 minutes. My God, I'm gonna go faster. So you go here, go to here, background, overlay. And all you have to do is right click to see our pop-up system, then hit shift. If you notice the blue, they're circles now, then they become squares when they're alphas, and you can choose a color shade. So right click, shift, they become little squares, and you can do there just a little tint of alpha on it. And that's it. All right, so let me save that. Let me keep going. Let me keep going. Here, oops. Let me go on the front end. Super quick. I'm thinking I'm gonna do timestamps for y'all for this video. Might be easier. Oh, and then the next thing you can do is create your own variable. For example, on this website, I created an example that's Ruben red, and I don't ever do this, but you can use the word red, black, white, yellow. You know what I mean? CSS things, but you don't ever do that. Put in a good hex code in there for me. So if you go to your tokens, you can actually add your own variable that you use inside of the builder. And how does that work? All you have to do is name it, give it a variable, and actually name the variable because it does like a default random number. And then you name the variable. And then all you have to do, right, it's right click, and your variables are listed out inside of the pop-up right here at the bottom. It's Ruben red. So in case I ever do need to change the color, I'm gonna make it black, for example. I hit save, and now it's black. So wherever you use your color and you need to make a small tweak to it, and like instead of going to every possible section, every possible existence, or every possible section that has that variable, you can just make the ultimate changes. The problem is your variable name will be Ruben red and it's black. So that's the only catch. So make sure you label it something that's not a color based, and then you can always change it. So that's super cool. Look at this beautiful here. Let me go to the front end. This beautiful section we made. This beautiful section here. Where's it at? Damn, oh, that's beautiful right there. You like that? That was a Headspin wireframe you can use on your project. And look at this. Have a little sliding that's working. So now let's talk about, so we talked about, here, let's go from the top. So we've talked about page, all the default settings, or the settings that we do inside of Headspin, the page, the theme, and the spacing, right? I've shown you examples of the headings and the font sizes, right? You've seen this beautiful frame from Headspin that you can purchase, and if you become a member, I showed you the color palette, right? And how that takes over Breakdance, right? I showed you that we create a 12 shaded system for you. We have a neutral system for you. I've showed you that we can do alphas and transparencies inside of overlays using Headspin. It's another frame that's nice. And I've shown you can do any kind of possible variables. You can do numbers, you can do fluid fonts, you can do stagnant variables or tokens. You can do color tokens if you want one color to be on on light, the other one on dark mode. You can do that, all that here, right? Now, the last thing I want to cover is our pop-up, our copilot, our smart copilot that knows specifically what you're clicking, right? So if you click into a font, it's only going to show you the headings and your fonts, right? If you click into a color, it's going to show you the color options. It's not going to show you a font size because it doesn't apply to the fonts, right? So now you can use, so one of the things before we've created this new option was the sync, right? So I just want to let you know, you don't have to sync with Breakdance anymore and use it inside of the builder. We were doing that as a workaround until we developed what we have now, that we can actually use the colors inside of the actual pop-up, right? Before we'd have this, before 1.4, that's why I said it's important for you to update, because this wasn't here before. So now you don't have to technically run the sync anymore. The sync is kind of obsolete. The only reason you would need to use the sync, it is a very user-based or specific scenario. If you ever want to do a gradient, right, a color gradient, unfortunately, you cannot use the pop-up within the way it's designed in Breakdance. You have to manually either move the colors, use Breakdance's official color system, like their color blocks, or what do you call it? I'll show you here in a second. Let me open it up now. And you have to use Breakdance's specific color system in order for you to choose colors, right? So let's say you didn't install a Headspin and you use the green and the yellow. Well, you will put them in the palette in your global settings and then just choose them. The problem is, let me go to background. Let's do gradient. When you open up the gradient, there's no way to insert a variable here. It doesn't allow you. You would have to add a color and then pick a color, right? You would make it teal or purple, whatever, and then you can save it, add as a preset, and then just use it for your global. Or you can just grab it from the back end, grab the code. If you have a code for your project, you can just do it that way. That's the only thing you can't do with Headspin. It doesn't, we're not allowed to go in here and add a variable, right? It's not capable of doing that. It's asking for hex code. So other than that, there's you don't have to sync unless you want to go in here and manually just add those two colors in case, if you want to go in here and go to global settings, let me go to colors, and if you want to add a color here, you can do that. I'm sorry, my head's blocking it, but you can do that and then add your brand color. So let's say your brand color is that yellow, that green yellow, right? So you can add those colors once and never have to do it again and just use it for gradients. But I rarely use gradients, and if I do use gradients, it's more for black, like transparency to black. So other than that, we're good. But my friends, that was an overview. See how beautiful that frame is? That was an overview of the co-pilot, the font, and what actually Headspin does for you. So if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments below. And I hope I'm sorry this video was so long, and I'm sorry that I rant, but I'm gonna get back in the flow of making videos for you, and I will be making more videos for those who are in the community and those who actually are part of Headspin. You will get more videos and trainings specifically without this funny music. It's just more, here's 1, 2, and 3, have a great day. Here's 1, 2, and 3, have a great day. Well, my friends, 1, 2, 3, have a great day.